Oh, let me turn off my phone and everything.
Okay, that's not running. Let's start that again. Let's start that again. There. And then it cuts out. Oh, hey, what the heck? Oh, I had just made a new version of the opening where it goes all flames in the end, and this thing. Okay, I'll have to fix that later. Anyway. Welcome once again to the Legion of Reason Diversion, coming to you from Alberta, Canada, and today we have with us our special guest, Brian Dalton, and of course you all know and love him as Mr. Deity. And we're going to talk with him for a bit, and he's promised to stick around and talk about some of the stories we have for the day, including John Chau's not-so-excellent adventure in Sentinelese Island, trying to proselytize, and it didn't go so well. It was they were rather pointed, let's say, about things. Specifically, the points. Yeah.
That's bent.
Sorry, too soon. Too soon.
Yeah.
That's one of the things.
Oh God.
I'm sorry. I did that off the cuff. I'm off script already. And anyway, welcome to the Legion of Reason Diversion, Brian. It's great to have you. We've met.
Thanks for having me.
We've met at
CAM.
Thanks for joining us.
Yeah, you look familiar.
Yeah. Well, I look like everybody. I have a very common face. It's very nondescript. I should be named John Smith or something, you know.
There we go. Joe Smith. Joe Smith. How about that?
No, he knew how to make an exit. I mean.
Yeah, he really did.
He really did know how to make an exit. You know.
Yeah.
Wow. Anyway, of course, hopefully people are joining us now that the Grey Cup is over, and Calgary won, yay! I'm sure Christine doesn't care.
I don't,
no,
but I think my mom won $10 from my dad, so that's good.
$10. Hey, $10 is like $10, eh?
Yeah.
No, we don't actually say up here anymore. I don't think that's a thing.
We do.
No.
We just don't know it. We do, trust me.
See, you're not even doing it now. Anyway.
I bet throughout the show, I'll do it at least 8 or 10 times. And I bet you do it at least 5 times, unless we're like super conscious of, not doing it.
Well, yeah. Well, we'll see.
Brian can monitor our age.
Yeah.
I think the equivalent here is we say right, or
that's
you
pretty
say
much,
that
yeah.
Right.
Yeah, that's true.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just trying to think of all the stereotypes of Canadians speaking. How do you say ROOF in Californian?
Roof.
Oh, see, that's pretty damn Canadian. Yeah, that's pretty damn Canadian. Yeah. I guess out east it'd be rough, right?
I don't know. I've never heard them say it out east. I don't think it's any different. I don't think I've heard anyone out east say anything but roof.
One thing
I definitely have.
I think one of the.
Oh yeah. Okay.
Maybe it's Eastern Canada for that matter, right?
Yeah, but they're not Canadians. Well, I should say that Eastern Canada, fine. Toronto, Toronto is kind of the center of Canada, and everywhere else is kind of.
Looked down upon.
It's an inferiority complex out west. It's just called it that.
It's a great city. I love Toronto and I love Montreal. Everyone tells me I need to see Quebec City because I'm so nuts about these older cities.
Yeah, Quebec is lovely. It actually is very lovely.
Yeah.
I've never been.
No, it's beautiful. Hundreds of years old houses and yeah, it's quite nice. Yeah, I really enjoyed Quebec. Calgary's nice. One of the best cities in the world to live in, I guess.
In summer.
Yeah, in summer. Yeah. Well, you haven't lived in you haven't lived winter until you've lived in Winnipeg. I did my PhD in Winnipeg. 7 years, folks. 7 long winters of, I'd say hell, but hell isn't that cold.
we don't have winter here in Los Angeles. We only have 2 seasons in California. We have summer and almost summer.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, so. Yeah.
Yeah, they tried to tell me in Hawaii that they have seasons. I'm like, yeah, right. Yeah. The water gets.
Well, we don't really. Cold. I mean, it goes straight from summer to winter, like overnight almost, right?
Oh yeah, we had that snowstorm in September. Oh god.
Oh yeah, the snowmageddon.
30 centimeters of snow. It was I couldn't believe it. But anyway. Enough about the weather.
The weather.
Yeah, and all the other stuff, Canadianese. So, Brian, we were talking a little bit about your upbringing before this. You grew up as a Mormon, and you weren't a good Mormon.
I wasn't when I was younger. I mean, I should say I was till I was 12, and then my parents were very old when I was born, relatively speaking, because they were 45 and 47, and my dad was done. I don't think he cared about the kids that he had when he was younger, but he was definitely not interested in parenting at 47. So by the time I was 12, and I only learned this later in life, my mom told me this as though to get herself off the hook. She told me when my dad retired when I was 12, she decided that he was responsible for raising me now, which is just the worst, horrible thing to say. It's like my mom just decided, I'm abandoning you at 12 and leaving you to this jerk who she knew was a jerk. And so I had no parental supervision from the time of 12 on, and I did what I wanted to do. And I knew my parents were insane by the time I was 5, and so I wasn't interested in anything they had to say. And so I was very into music, and by the time I was 14, like I said, I was playing on the Sunset Strip and playing with guys a lot older than me because I was very good on the guitar very early and did what I want. Went through my whole drug phase, like I said, from 12 to 15, and then I was done with drugs and got out of that band and started playing in a progressive fusion. It was a weird band. It was just a weird blend of stuff with a really great keyboard player. Everyone was really good. It was a lot of fun. And then I got religion at 17 with a vengeance, and just went nuts into Mormonism like crazy yeah.
Huh. And you stayed.
How did you find Mormonism? Was you
well, it was my. Yeah, it was. I mean, I was raised Mormon, but I said, at 12, I just bailed on everything, and I had Mormonism is very structured. So when you're a kid, there are overseers, as it were. There are counselors who first oversee like the 12 to 14, and then 14 to 16, and then 16 to 18. You're initiated into the Mormon priesthood, and there are different levels. And when I turned 16. The guy in charge of me had never seen me, and he called and he said, "Listen, I'm your priest quorum counselor, and I want you to come to my class once. I just want to know who you are. I want to meet you, and come and I just want to know who you are, and you never have to come again." And I thought that's the best deal ever. So I went, and he was incredibly charismatic and funny and amazing. He truly one of the most charismatic people I've ever met in my life, and he was interesting, and I started going more regularly. And then my girlfriend at the time got interested. She was Roman Catholic, and her parents ended up hating me because she converted. And I kind of converted with her, and we both became religious. And then the struggle began because we couldn't keep our hands off each other, so that's a whole other issue. And I just got really into it. And I mean, anyone who knows me knows that whatever I do at 200%, and I leave no stone unturned. And so I really started studying Mormonism, and then I started studying Christianity and Judaism, and got into all of those things, and ended up with a learning Torah from a religious Jew out here in Southern California who did a radio show, or a nationally syndicated radio show, and I actually do a video series now taking him on. That's Dennis Prager of Prager University.
Oh,
and,
yeah.
And they have Prager U and I have Prager FU. I've started doing those videos now where I take on some of their stuff. But I got a really good education in kind of the Judeo-Christian thing, and I knew my Mormonism backwards and forwards. So that's Mr. Deity is very much a Mormon incarnation, because he, like the Mormon God, he is not the God. He is just a God. And he's got his own universe, and he's not afraid to use it, as I like to say. And the ethos of that was that if Mr. Deity was basically like an indie producer, where he didn't quite have the budget they needed to do a universe properly, and so everything's kind of ragtag together. And if you know the cosmography, you know that they, one of the reasons they went with so much dark matter is because they didn't have enough funding to get a universe full of matter, regular matter. So dark matter was much cheaper, and they go to the dark matter showroom, which is one of my favorite episodes, where they run into Allah in there. That's the way I figured out how to get Allah into an episode, because they run into him in the dark matter showroom, which you can't see anything. So we didn't have to have an actor showing being Allah, and then he and Jesus just shit on each other the entire episode. It was a lot of fun. But that's kind of the background and the ethos of everything.
You want to?
So how did you leave Mormonism?
I left Mormonism because I started looking into it more. As I got into it, I got challenged by people. I was meeting people of other religions a lot, working with Dennis Prager. It started to dawn on me that, there are a lot of big problems here. Particularly Mormonism, I say this all the time, Mormonism, I think, is truly the only religion I know that is 100% empirically, demonstrably false, because the entire religion is just based on a series of empirical claims about who the Native Americans are. And they just aren't who Joseph Smith said they are. They just aren't. And there's no evidence in any meaningful way that suggests that they were middle-aged people who came here from the old world and have Hebrew DNA. And that's the thing that really set me over the top was when the DNA studies started coming out in the early 90s, and it was absolutely clear that the Native Americans were not Hebrews. And I mean, there were a lot of other problems on top of that, but that one's pretty hard to get around. And it's just gotten more and more solid, the data on that. There's one haplogroup among the I can't think of the tribe, that you can kind of get back to the general area, but you have to go back 26,000 years, and none of the Book of Mormon peoples came here before maybe, I want to say, 2200 BCE. So you got real problems there too. It's just a ridiculous series of claims that he made, thinking that he could just kind of transpose, the civilizations of the old world onto the Native Americans here, not understanding anything about how civilization works, in other parts of the world. So he didn't have he didn't have Jared Diamond's Guns, Germs, and Steel. To fall back on that point.
Oh no, he certainly couldn't have predicted the ability that we have today to look at the past of populations.
Right.
One thing that I've noticed over the last couple of years, and it strikes me as curious, is that the Learning Channel has had a lot of shows which try to be apologetic in terms of the claims of Mormonism. Has there been some kind of, I don't know, takeover or something?
I I don't know. I didn't know that. That's the first time hearing of it. I'm going to have to look into that. That's interesting.
Well, there's one that he's looking at archaeological stuff, and there's like the certain old buildings line up and draw a line on a flat map, by the way, which is a bit of a problem already. But he's not doing it on a great circle. But it goes back to Stonehenge or something like that. Of course, there's the error in that. Just drawing that line would be immense. It would include like most of Europe. But of course, they draw the line so that it's just kind of strange. And I keep seeing these programs on or Sister Wives. What the
something in counting
polygamy. There's a polygamy show that was on for a while.
And
that's Sister Wives, I think.
Yeah, Sister Wives. Yeah, it just on the Learning Channel alone, and it just kind of has always struck me as very odd.
I've never been able to make things work with even one wife.
Yeah, so. I know it's just I've heard that.
I don't know how you do that.
I've heard that from a lot of Muslims too. Actually, it's like no way. I'm going to the fore. Yeah.
The more problems, I think.
Yeah. I'm sorry.
Gender and all that stuff, right? Yeah.
We're not that big into. Well, that's not true. I think we try to multitask as men, but that kind of multitasking is beyond our ability.
That's not even the right word. Yeah.
Well, sometimes it could be. Yeah.
Multi-drowning, maybe?
Multi-doghouse.
Multi-overwhelmed.
Yeah, something along those lines.
Shut up.
Sorry, the token female on this is getting a lesson in how men can be totally.
Well, I don't even mean that in a misogynistic way. I just mean that we have such a hard time. Men just have such a hard time, dealing with the opposite sex. I mean, I guess we both do, but the thought of either sex having to deal with multiples of the other is just oh my God! Just get me out of that thing right now. Give me the parachute. I'm jumping. I'm not.
And then the dynamics between. Yeah, the dynamics between the other two.
Oh my God! Yes.
Holy shit, that would be.
Yeah. Oh Lord.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just trying to add Twyla in here.
That's way out of context. We're trying to bring Twyla into the show.
Yeah. Well, okay, it was poor choice of words.
Oh dear. It was. Yes.
I'm multitasking. See, that's what happens. When guys multitask, bad things happen.
But it's genius. If you're, can I swear on this show? Am I good?
Fuck no. Fuck no.
If you're the horniest motherfucker on the planet, like Joseph Smith apparently was.
Oh gosh.
It's a good way. I used to have a good friend who she used to argue with me that L. Ron Hubbard was crazier than Joseph Smith, or more who was the bigger scoundrel, who was the bigger con guy, and my final closing argument was always, L. Ron Hubbard never went to his wife and said, "Honey, the Lord wants me to have another." I mean, those are big balls. That's what it was. Who had the bigger balls, L. Ron Hubbard or Joseph Smith? Those are ginormous. That's just.
So who made more money though? One got more sex and
I'm sure one
got more money, right?
Well, are you sure? Are you sure? Because tithing is a big thing in the Mormon Church.
Well, if he'd stuck with it, if he hadn't, done a bunch of shit to get himself killed, he probably could have been a very wealthy mofo.
Yeah, the whoring had a lot to do with that, actually.
I was thinking, not only are the empirical claims easily refutable in the Book of Mormon or whatever, but also we have records and history of this man and his real life, unlike all kinds of mysteries around these other so-called prophets or
It is amazingly well documented. I mean, he literally had people following him around, writing down his shit like he really was talking to God. I mean, it's amazing how well documented the religion is. There are stories within the history of the church, the official history of the church, where people are being brought to church court for drinking, and they say, "Well, I was only doing it because Joseph did it," and or smoking a cigar or something, and he didn't want to be that guy. That kind of stuff got pushed on him by people like Sidney Rigdon, who was a temperance movement character, and he didn't want to be that guy. He was a freaking partier, like none other probably. So
and those like those revivalist type things that they did off in the wilderness and speaking in tongues and all that shit. Like that was part of the why not glom onto something new and start your own, I suppose, right? It's just I have to say he's obviously been successful with it, which is a mind blower.
By the way, that was
with Scientology.
Yeah, that was his big line, his big opening line with the ladies. You want to come back to my place and I'll speak in tongues.
Well, this is going to go off the rails tonight.
Yeah. This is just the beginning too. So yeah.
Yeah, no kidding.
I was at. Sorry, I wanted to. We're on the partying thing. I went to the Mormon. Whatchamacallit? Temple, yeah, thank you, there we go. Here in Calgary, and they have this big baptismal font. I mean, it's a hot tub.
Yeah.
Do people party in this thing after hours? I've always wanted to know this, because it's designed for it.
Yes, it really is. Yeah, and the water was always warm when I went and got baptized for dead folk. It was always good.
I can't believe that the elders in the Mormon Church don't just, they know it's baloney and just have fun in the tub.
Yeah, come get baptized for the dead. That's another good. That's another good line.
Yeah. Great,
so
lovely.
my ex-husband's aunt's side of the family was Mormon, Jack Mormon, of course. But I went to a wedding and they went on about eternity, and I thought, man, if anything should scare you off marrying somebody, it's this idea of being married for eternity, right? And then I went to, like, oh my God, that's. Then I went to, I don't know why, because I'm pretty sure Grandpa Ray was actually an atheist, but he and Grandma. I don't know why they did this, but anyway, they got baptized Mormon, and poor Grandma was not there much. Well, she was still there, but not really. And they kept, of course, it's got to be full immersion, and every time she'd, like, kick up her foot, and they just get on and on and on, ducking this poor woman who didn't know what the fuck was going on, trying to get her to keep her leg down. It was just, it was, like, painful to watch,
Oh, that's horrible. Yeah, I've seen a few of those in my day. Yeah.
Yeah.
And God's, the thing that kills me about that is, like, God is really limited. Like, if you don't get it fully under the water, this person's going to be fucked for all eternity. I mean, he can't just go, you know what, I'm going to give it a pass. They tried, they were earnest, they had the right intent. Who gives a crap?
Yeah.
That just kills me.
Yeah, no kidding.
Legalistic religion is ridiculous. It's so silly.
Yeah, you need a lawyer that's well versed in the theology to get to actually find the path.
Right.
Well, that means that you learned all the hand signs and stuff.
Oh yeah, I know the
secret signs.
Oh shoot, what was it called now? That's the full sign of the cross. Oh my God, I can't remember it, but I remember the health in the marrow, navel, and the health in the. Oh my God, I don't remember any of the secret paths.
Oh, you're going to hell.
Huh? I don't even know any of this stuff.
Screwed. Health in the marrow. Oh my God, I can't remember it. The thing that you say at the veil to the guy, and you're doing the handshake and foot to foot, knee to knee, hand to back, and you say this thing, and then you get welcomed into the celestial room of the temple, and you find out that there's really nothing revelatory or anything going on in there. That was going to the temple for the first time was really probably one of the earliest times where it was so disappointing because it was such a buildup. I was so excited about it, and I was going on my mission, and I got my temple recommended. I was going for the first time, and I went through it. I really thought that I was going to get some kind of amazing knowledge and information that this is where it's all going to be revealed to me, and it was boring as hell. We watched this movie that was poorly acted, and it was just, and I remember sitting in that celestial room thinking, "That's it? Are you fucking kidding me? What? Wait, what?" And I didn't say that in there. I kept my cool. But it was really, really, it was horrible. Probably the most disappointing moment of my Mormon life. Where is the secret knowledge? And I was expecting some kind of Gnostic revelation, and nothing. This is it. I hit my knee to the other guy's knee and my toe to the other toe, and say these stupid chants into his ear. Give me a break. So
it's a lot like learning about Xenu for Scientologists.
Yeah, very much, yeah.
It's just bad. I tried reading, I didn't know who L. Ron Hubbard was, and I tried reading Battlefield Earth. It is the most boring book on the planet. It's more boring than the Bible. I mean, that's saying something.
Mormons can't get through the Book of Mormon. I mean, the joke is, if you can make it through Second Nephi, you need some kind of reward or something.
A badge.
Make this guy a general authority. Yeah,
like a scout badge. And it came to pass.
Yeah. Oh Lord. Oh Lord.
Well, by the way, Twyla just joined us.
Oh, she's on. Oh, okay, good. I've been trying to bring her in for quite a while now. Anyway.
Hello.
You there, Twy?
Hi, can you hear me?
There we go. Yeah, we got you.
Yeah.
One of the things about oh shoot, now I've lost my train of thought. It's been derailed.
Now you're all in Canada, right? Everybody's in Canada.
Yeah.
Alberta.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wow.
And I are in Calgary, and Twyla's in Redneck.
Redneck right here. Yeah.
And you all have your heaters going.
No, I'm in the basement.
Yeah.
In the laundry area.
All right.
I have a converted sort of garage. It's a workshop, and the insulation is not that great, so I have to totally heat up the place, and then eventually I'll be putting on my sweater and
toque.
It's crazy cold here right now too. It's 63 degrees.
Oh yeah, that's horrible.
I don't know how I'm going to deal with that tonight.
Oh, I was going to say, I heard you guys talking about New York, and so I went to New York in February for the first and only time in my life, and
oh my goodness.
I was reading the forecast, and I'm thinking, in terms of Calgary weather, it seemed, I'll away with my coat and in my earmuffs and the paraglow, the usual kind of, and I got there, and oh my God, the humidity just killed me.
When was this?
Absolutely killed me.
It was
in February. No.
Oh, in February. Oh my gosh.
Yeah. And I was staying with Basil because I was, he was hosting me, and I ended up going into the shop and just buying this big ass black scarf and wrapping it around my head, and and I come out and he's just, now I know how you'd look at a burqa, and he just laughed his head off.
Some Canadian you are. Some Canadian. So, totally.
I know, but
just not representing.
It's the humidity. And I hate it here too when it's cold.
Funny. I would not have thought that the humidity would bother you in February. I thought you were talking about you should try
very dry here.
In July.
It is dry. It's dry as
very dry.
Yeah, and I'm a climate desert.
We're getting
straight the bones.
The climate change here. When I'm living in the home that I grew up in, and I inherited it a few years ago, and I grew up as a kid, and we never had any kind of humidity here. And now the last 3-4 summers that I've been here, I wake up in the morning in summer and I look at my phone and it's 92% humidity. It's completely changed.
Wow.
Here it's insane. and it's awful. It's icky. I hate it. Because we
Yeah.
always used to be able to say, well, it's a dry heat, because it does get hot here, but it's a dry heat. Well, it's not a dry heat anymore, because I hate New York in the summer. I never go in the summer. I go in the spring and the fall. That's my time to be in New York. Did you enjoy it? That's my favorite city ever. I love New York.
Well, it's kind of in and out pretty quickly.
Oh, darn.
So I really didn't get to... I got to see a few things, and what I did see I really enjoyed, but it's cold.
I found New York to be really, really weird. Really, really weird.
Oh, yeah. You know what blew me away, and I knew it intellectually, like not being able to see the stars. I looked up and I couldn't see the stars, and I'm just used to being able to see that in Calgary. I knew it intellectually, but then like to actually experience it's like, holy shit, I really can't see the stars.
Yeah.
A bit of a mindfuck, okay? Yeah.
I can see it here in Los Angeles, but that's it.
Did you hear that I said A?
You did, yes.
Yeah.
One A.
For me. It's a mindfuck A. So you coined a term, foreman, which I really like.
I did. Yes. I coined that in a speaking of hot tubs. I coined that in a hot tub in San Diego. We were down there to go to SeaWorld, and I had left the church just a few years back, and I was talking to a guy who was in the hot tub with us, and he asked me something about my religion, and I said, "Oh, I'm a former Mormon," and then it just clicked in my head. I said, or I guess I could call myself a foreman, and that was it. And I've been trying to get everyone to use that now because the ex-Mo and ex-Mormon and all of that. The foreman is just so eloquent,
Yeah, it's easier to say too.
Yeah.
It conveys everything you need to convey. So,
exactly,
my spell checker has a real problem with it, but other than that,
Who has a problem with it?
My spell checker, the autocorrect.
Oh, okay.
Oh yeah, those annoying things. Yes. It's hard to swear when you have a spell checker on.
It really is.
And
it really is ducking. Ducking.
Yes, that
weather.
Ducking. Yeah.
I get that all the time. Yeah.
I've trained mine. Mine now obeys my 4-letter wording. So okay, anyway,
you have to train it.
We've got to the point where you have doffed Mormonism, and what happened after that? Like what you were disillusioned, but then what?
Yeah, it's kind of weird. I became an atheist before I left Mormonism because atheism is not. It's okay with Mormonism because Mormonism doesn't have a big G God. There is no theology with a big G God. The Mormon God is just a guy, a dude like us who lived on some earth in some other universe who gained knowledge of the universe through the priesthood, Mormon priesthood, and became a god. So my atheism was kind of like, well, yeah, I can still stay in this. But there were, on top of the empirical problems, there were a lot of problems that I was just growing weary with in terms of, misogyny and anti-gay
racism
bullshit, and racism was awful. I mean, we could go on and on, couldn't we? But that was just becoming a problem. And the big thing for me that got me out was I had a child. And it just hit me. I got to find out if this is bullshit or not because I don't want to pass this on if it's bullshit. So that's when I really started looking into it. And it took me 3 years to finally work my way out of it. And then you're in this position where, because Mormonism was my whole life. I grew up Mormon and everything, and you realize I gotta rethink everything. It was kind of crazy, and I had read this book by Robert Nozick, the philosopher at Harvard, who said, Socrates' comment about the unexamined life is a little too harsh, that it's not worth living, but it's certainly not your life. Your thoughts are not your thoughts, and you're not living your life. You're living somebody else's life because you're living their thoughts and ideas, and you better figure out what you think about things. And so I kind of just abandoned everything I thought, and then started like seeing what's worth picking up again and keeping, and I got rid of all the other shit. The big thing for me that was amazing was, so I was a really right-winger still, because Mormons are right-wingers. And I was listening to Dr. Laura just about every day. And this is before she got religion. A lot of people don't know this, but she was on the board of Skeptic magazine before she got...
What?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
So...
Amazing.
I used to listen
Is
to
your
Dr.
mind
Laura.
blown?
Yeah, I didn't know that.
Yes.
It is blown.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. So,
What the frack happened to her?
yeah, right.
She found religion between the seat cushions.
But she...
There you go.
How do you go from that to that?
I know, isn't it amazing?
Is there more money in...
I think there is a lot of money in religion. I don't know that I'm tipping anyone off to that. I don't think that's a secret but there is. I think there's a good deal of money in it. But she had written an article in Skeptic magazine about false memory syndrome, and so I decided I wanted to read it. So I went and picked up the magazine. I was out of Mormonism at this point, probably maybe about a year, and I read her article. But then I started reading all the other articles, and I realized, oh my God, these are my people. This is I found my home.
Okay,
and
so Laura helped you find skeptics.
Find skeptics.
But she left. That's pretty ironic that a former...
Right?
Fair trade.
So then
I'm thinking of that psychic who died. What? Something Brown? Sylvia Brown?
Yeah.
Sylvia?
How many people she converted into skepticism without even knowing it, right?
Yeah.
That came right after she died.
She helped me find James Randi Education Foundation because I'd seen her on Montel and I was really mad because I thought it was ridiculous. So I Googled her, and that's how I found the James Randi Education Foundation. So it's kind of her fault that I found my people too.
It's such a great story. That's a great story. But I started going to they were at the time they were doing lectures every first Sunday of the month at Caltech, which is not far from where I was living at the time. So I drove up, and then Michael and I became good friends. And I actually did. I was doing graphic design at the time, and I redesigned the magazine for them back in the 90s. And Michael and I became good friends, and we've been friends ever since. And it just kind of opened this whole world to me, and it was just so great. Michael was such a big help, and that whole community was just great. And all of a sudden, I'm meeting the best people I've ever met in my life. They're the smartest, they're the funniest, they're the kindest, and that has just continued with this show. I mean, my favorite thing about doing the Mr. Deity show is the people that I've met. Just the best people ever, and the people who watch and comment. I live for the comments, because the people who comment I always learn more than I've put out. Brilliant people are watching my show, and it's such an honor. It makes me feel, I'm just so thrilled about it. But that's been my favorite thing about my conversion out of Mormonism, is the people I've met are just amazing.
So your work background,
contributing so much too. So
what was your work background? How did Mr. Deity happen? What did you do before?
Yeah, so I did graphic design for 25 years. Before that, I did music from a very young age. You missed that part. Going back to when I was 14, I was playing professionally, and I had studied photography for a long time, and I'd done these little writing things of little vignettes of things and whatnot. And a friend of mine bought a video camera in 2001, and I had bought a home, and he said, now we have a camera and a set. Write something, and let's make a movie. And so we did, and I made my first movie in 2002, 2003, and it played all over the world in various festivals, and I won a couple festivals.
Okay,
and got
title? What is this movie?
You can't find it anywhere. It's called Killing the Dream. It never got distribution, but what happened was we got a lot of interest from big companies like Miramax and Focus Features, and they loved it, but it was too low rent because we made it all on our own, and you didn't even have HD cameras at the time yet, and they loved it, but they said, remake it. And so we tried to get the money to remake it. We couldn't. And then I had written these little vignettes about God that would become Mr. Deity. And Jimbo, the guy who plays Larry on the show, he and I were doing a lot of video production at the time because I'd moved into video by that time. We had a horrible shoot one day, and we're driving back from Santa Barbara, and he says, "We can't keep doing this. We're getting too old. We got to do something else." He said, because I had spent 2 years trying to get actors I knew, to play Mr. Deity and Larry, and no one was interested in doing it. And he said, "Why don't you just play Mr. Deity and I'll play Larry, and let's just shoot a few of these damn things and see what happens." And we did it, and we put them up in January of 2007, and by February, the end of February, we had big 6 media companies calling us and wanting us to, do the show for them, and we ended up going with Sony, which was kind of a disaster.
Oh.
But
that's too bad.
Yeah, I mean, the money was good, but that was it. That's all that was good. Corporations are evil, I just want to say that right now. But, I got the show back, and we started doing it again, and I've been doing it ever since. We don't do as many of the Mr. Deity anymore. I have all the other shows.
Way of the Mr., and what are the rest?
Well, the other shows are just me shooting my big fat mouth off. The Way of the Mr., I started because Kirk Cameron and Ray Comfort started The Way of the Master.
Yes.
And I thought, I want to do something to push back on just all the religious bullshit. So I started doing The Way of the Mister. And we've done all kinds of things, narrative short films and just about everything in The Way of the Mister, and fake 60-minute style pieces. And we've had a lot of fun with that. But as my crew has scattered, because Larry is now in South Carolina, and Sean is no longer acting, the guy who played Jesus. I can get him in every now and then if I'm lucky. And, Amy and I split up, and she's still real good about doing episodes every now and then, so I'll still do it, Mr. Deity, usually with her. And it's just hard to get those done, but we still do them every now and then. So you have The Way of the Mister, you have The Way of the Mister Quickie, which is supposed to be a short version, but it never is, because I can't edit myself. I'm awful. If I have a thought, it must be brilliant, so I'm going to put it in there. And let's see, what else do? I do
Prager and You.
Prager FU.
Tell us more about that.
I got to talk about that one.
And push back on the PragerU videos that are ubiquitous. I mean, you cannot watch YouTube now without getting a PragerU video coming up as a commercial.
I haven't seen it in a while, but
crazy. Yeah.
And then there's one other, and I can't even think of. I do the God Distraction series, which is limited, and I'm just about to wrap that up, and I want to do a book of those extended, and that's basically about my philosophy of what I call apatheism, which the subtitle is, "I don't care if God exists and neither should you." And the basic premise is there is nothing we can know about God or the supernatural. I mean, literally nothing we can know, because the supernatural makes everything unknowable, because with the supernatural, most of what we know, we only know provisionally, and we know it through the principle of falsification. In other words, we winnow down what could possibly be, and you have the most probable thing being this thing, and then you end up making predictions based on it that are reliable enough to where we all do things based on those predictions where we risk our lives. We get into cars, we get on airplanes, the knowledge is solid enough that you can send a man to the moon and return him to Earth. So you can get knowledge to the point where it's actionable in a meaningful way. So that's great, but there is nothing like that in the realm of religion. So there's even the question of, I'm supposed to have faith. Okay, in what God should I have faith in? There's no knowledge. It's a completely zero knowledge free arena. Why anyone is taking it seriously is beyond me. So the whole series is to show that all of these various things within religion that people think they know things about, I'm demonstrating you know nothing. Right down to morality and the afterlife and all of this stuff. It's just people talking out of their asses. Why anyone cares about this stuff is beyond me. It's amazing.
Good point. Yeah, it's not important.
Something?
Yes, say something.
Something.
I think what you described, something. What you were describing was like inductive knowledge, and I guess depending on the epistemology, you could justify believing in. Do you know what I mean? Like, I believe in God, so God exists, kind of thing. I believe the sun will rise tomorrow, therefore I believe that tomorrow will be a new day, kind of thing, right? So, I guess it's more on the grounds of evidence and the type of epistemological claims they're making.
Yeah, well, when you think about it, I mean, really think about it. What do religious leaders, and I'm talking about the heavy-duty theologians, what do they absolutely know today that a shepherd 4,000 years ago didn't know? What can they point to and go, oh, here's what I've learned. I can do that with gravity. I can do that with all kinds of physics. I can do that with medicine. I can do that with... There are just a zillion fields where there's monumental progress in what we know and understand and can use in an actionable way to enhance our lives and make the world a better place. I just finished Steve Pinker's book, Enlightenment Now.
Yeah,
and
I'm still reading that.
In fact, one of the shows that I'm going to do this month is just comparing medicine to prayer. to show you religion gives you. This is what we give you when we put our minds to it and we don't rely on some supernatural bullshit. And you make the world an infinitely better place. I mean, it's not even a. There's not even a. I'm frustrated that everyone in the world doesn't see. Look, we had 1,000 years of Christianity ruling Europe. They made the world in their image, and they gave us something called the Dark Ages. Yep. Okay, it's literally one of the worst periods in human history, and then you have science taking over for 400 years, and as Pinker's book shows, you have monumental progress, and the world is such an infinitely better place today than it was 400 years ago. I mean, how is this even a debate anymore? It's insane.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And I'll get down off my high horse now.
No, I was just saying devil's advocate, right? Because it is about the epistemology, right?
Right.
And,
Devil's advocate is that's a great term.
It is. Unfortunately, it's not used in the Vatican.
I was going to say something else, but I can't quite remember.
It should really be called God's advocate, because he's such an asshole.
Are you calling yourself an asshole?
Yes, he's so much worse. But you know what's funny is people get on me about the Mr. Deity show, and I can always say to them, because I've really kept it true, I'm just going from the text.
Yeah.
I mean, he is an idiot. He is an absolute idiot. If you read that book, this guy who's supposed to be all-knowing doesn't know that a woman's hymen can break before intercourse. This is the level of genius we're dealing with, or he doesn't know that the moon is not another source of light. I mean, there's the idiocy in that book that they attribute to some all-knowing being is, it's mind-boggling.
That was going to be, I guess, my next point was that they will actually try to invoke science to justify their nonsense claims.
Yeah, isn't that ironic?
And even though it's bullshit, it sounds persuasive to a lot of people, right?
Yeah. That don't understand how things work.
Yeah. Oh, we don't know about it, so God must have done it, right?
Well, it's basically they don't know about it, so God did it. I got into an argument with someone about how the eyes work, and she actually believed there's no connection from the eye to the brain somehow. She doesn't understand the nervous system. She's like, we don't know how it works. I'm like, because you haven't studied it, you don't know how it works. Everybody else doesn't. Are you kidding me?
You know what's cool?
Well, there's that too, but you talk about, say, what happened before the Big Bang. Well, nobody fucking knows, right? Like, what you're talking about, it's evidentially supported and, a long time ago, Twyla, right? But, there are mysteries that we don't have the answers to, and rather than saying, God did it, it's just so much more honest to say we don't know.
We don't know. We'll find out.
Hard. Yeah.
I'm gonna coin a new phrase for what you were talking about. That's the argument from personal ignorance.
Yeah, exactly.
You heard it here first, folks. You heard it here first.
Argument from personal ignorance.
Or we could just call it the argument from stupidity.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, there's already a name for that one. The argument from, shit, I can't remember the name of it.
There's personal incredulity.
Incredulity.
There is argument from
incredulity.
But that's not the same thing.
Yeah. Incredulity is
maybe the argument from willful ignorance, we could call it.
Yeah,
I like that.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Argument from will for AWI.
Yeah.
I've often said that, like, there's ignorance, which can be, respectfully engaged with, and then there's willful ignorance, and, if somebody's willfully ignorant,
the fact that people can look these things up and then stare, they could look this stuff up, but then stare at you and look seriously and say, we don't know this. Yeah, we do.
And it's so much worse today because we all have the Google machine.
Yeah.
It's not hard to figure this shit out now.
That's a double-edged sword.
But there's an awful lot of bullshit.
Yeah, exactly. It's a double-edged sword.
If you don't know what you're looking for, you're going to read something that you think is right, even though it's not, because you didn't know what it was before you went looking for it on the internet, unfortunately.
And we have an entire political party in this country that hates education. I mean, it's just the worst thing in the world. I don't know if you guys pay attention to our stuff down here.
Oh yes,
Are you kidding me? You guys don't let us forget about it.
DeVos. You know all about DeVos. Are you kidding me? Oh, it's just...
In 2012, what is his name? Oh, gosh, the Pennsylvania senator who was running, the religious right nut. I can't think of his name, but
Is that the guy who, the Brokeback Mountain ad?
Sorry,
I don't think so. I'm not sure. But I actually sat next to him on a plane once when I was coming. I think I was coming back from...
And you didn't throw him out?
I didn't. They wouldn't let me near the door. It was a problem. I asked the stewardess, though.
Use the window.
Gosh, I can't think of his name. Anyway,
Rick something?
Yes, Rick Santorum. Thank you.
Oh, that? Rick Santorum, okay.
What did you say to him?
He called Obama a snob for saying that everyone should be able to go to college. And then he made the point that the liberals want you to go to college, and here's why. He said because 60% of religious kids going into college come out of university losing their faith, and to me, I say, and your point is they get educated and they leave the stupidity. Isn't that what we want? But no, not.
We want the world to end in ignorance.
Yes, and it clearly will if we don't get things moving the other direction quickly.
Yeah.
I was blown away by that. What do you want your president, just the leader of no, I don't think kids should go to college. And when he says, I want to help kids go to college, he's called a snob? Like, what kind of an asshole president would say, fuck college, let's not be competitive on the stage of,
let's be stupid.
Make sure kids don't get jobs. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Let's embrace our stupidity. It's a beautiful thing. Oh, Lord. That's what we're dealing with down here.
It's kind of scary. Yeah. You have two generations now, people who might have been taught nothing but Christianism, and are they to participate in a democratic realm if they don't, A, understand, how to distinguish media, and B, don't have the education to, participate in a reasonable way. And then you throw in the fact that a lot of people's material needs aren't even being met. You can't have democracy under those conditions.
You really can't. You're right. Absolutely. You got to have people informed.
Press,
Yeah.
The press is just
that's getting attacked daily here. Yeah. Unbelievable. Yeah. Did we want to move into politics?
Yeah, it's okay. We usually do.
Lately.
I got to ask though. I got to ask something though. When you were deep into Mormonism, did you wear the underwear?
I did, absolutely.
Oh my God!
There we go.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
You did? Yeah.
Yeah. It's horribly unattractive. I had a rule.
No kidding.
I had a rule that I never wanted to see my wife in her Mormon underwear, because if you want to lose wood instantly, that'll do it. That'll do it.
But I'm just thinking, if you haven't grown up in the Mormon thing, that could be kind of hot, right?
I guess.
In a pilgrim kind of way.
The Mormon underwear is all you get to see. That's all you get.
Is there anything on the planet that isn't hot to someone? I mean, that's
exactly.
Human nature in the
Come here, little Mormon boy.
Yeah.
But, you know, there's a guy that, I haven't seen him in a while, but he came to Skeptics in the pub, and he was an ex-Mormon. And I asked him, did you wear the underwear? He's like, yeah. And then, are you wearing it right now? And he just looked, this deflated look, because he'd run out of underwear. So he was wearing...
Oh, that's
the backup underwear now.
That's all he had.
You know what? I don't honestly remember what I did with mine. I have no idea what I did with mine. Yeah.
Just sold them on eBay.
Right. Well, I was.
Mr. Deity's Mormon underwear could be worth it.
Yeah, really.
Oh God! You could auction it. Damn it. You could auction that and get, for a charity. There you go.
I should see if I could go get some. Yeah, that'd be cool. I'll wear them around for a day and auction them off.
It's like man buns. There's nothing cool about it.
I need to.
Oh God.
Anyway, what are you working on these days? I mean, I guess Prager FU. You're just finishing or something else up. What was that again?
Yeah, I'm doing my daily work. I'm wrapping up, trying to wrap up within the next 2 or 3 episodes. The God Distraction. I'm working on one right now on meaning and purpose, and I've kind of gone through a lot of other things. I think I only have 3 more subjects to do, but people will probably point out, oh, you didn't do this or you didn't do that, so that may continue for a while. Yeah. And then I want to get that into book form. I have someone shopping that for me currently. The other thing that I'm really working towards right now is getting back to filmmaking, because I have some really cool ideas for films that would kind of promote this way of thinking, and I don't think I'm going to get in doing that. So I've written a couple films that I'm pretty sure I can shoot on my own now with a very small budget, which I might be able to crowdsource. I have $150,000 worth of cinema equipment from my days of doing video production, which I still do. So I still buy that, but it's amazing what you can do now with the stuff that they have. That's I just bought a $1,300 camera. That's what I'm going to shoot this film on, and it looks 100 times better than the cameras that George Lucas was using to shoot the Star Wars prequels. It's truly amazing. It's a wonderful time to be doing it. And the one story is pretty big, and I didn't think I could make it on my own, but I have young people telling me we can do this now, and we just need to rewrite some scenes, and it's mostly about location problems. It's a pretty big story, but there was a lot of helicopter stuff that I didn't think I would ever be able to do, and now for $1,700 you can buy a 4K camera with a great codec, meaning something like that Netflix will buy, because they have standards. You have to have a 10-bit codec shooting 422 color space to sell anything to Netflix or Amazon or any of those, and they have them now. And they fly themselves. It's amazing. It's just unbelievable. You don't need to do anything. You just tell it, I want you to do this move and do it here and do there and do that. So I'm rewriting this script to try to be able to shoot it this year. This would be my big project. And I want to make a blog, a vlog, like a production vlog of the whole experience too for that community, which I'm really engaged with, but nobody knows it from what I do on the Mr. Deity stuff, because I keep those completely separate. But very much into cinematography and all of that stuff. Like I did professional photography when I was younger, back in the film days. So happy to not be shooting film anymore.
No kidding.
The
digital darkroom is so amazing now, and it's amazing.
You can do anything.
You're not even stuck with Adobe anymore.
No, you're not. You're really not.
And move on to On1 or something like that. It's amazing. I was thinking of doing video stuff, but I'm actually into animation now. So it's
there's all kinds of great stuff you can do with that too.
Yes, there is. You could do anything.
Jim, the guy who played Larry. Yeah, the guy who played Larry is getting into all that stuff.
Yeah.
And he sent me some stuff, and I'm blown away with what you can do. It's very little education even in it. I mean, it's just mind-boggling.
Just need an understanding of the what's the word I'm looking for? The rules of animation.
Yeah.
And there's ways of doing it, and it's cool because, well, first of all, you don't have to deal with actors.
Right.
Yeah. And with voice, you can totally create your own voice. I'll do all the voices and just alter them in post.
Right.
It's just amazing. I love doing it.
I need to say something though, because I just realized I'm going to get myself in trouble. As a director, I love actors. As a writer-director, there's nothing better. There's nothing better on the planet than an actor who can bring your stuff to life. It is truly a miracle. It's amazing to watch and see, and they always do it better than you wrote it, which is amazing if you find good people.
That's true. That is an advantage.
It's just amazing. I'm such an actor's director.
Look. Yeah, you get a different look from somebody else's perspective, and it can add things to it. Yeah, so they bring something to it.
And good people come in. I'm not kidding you. All that Sean, who plays Jesse Jesus on our show, he's a serious actor, and he's been in a lot of stuff over the years. He's never got a big break, and it breaks my heart because he's kind of quit acting now, at least for a while. But every single show that he is on, every Mr. Deity that he is on, he came in and ad-libbed shit or had thought about it beforehand, and the funniest stuff that you see in those episodes, I didn't write it. I don't tell anyone that because I like to get the credit. It makes me look amazing, but it's all of his stuff. He always came up with such good stuff, and I just let him roll with it because how hard is that? Yeah, make it funnier and let me take the credit. That's a win-win. Yeah.
Awesome. Yeah, I think we're ready to move on to some of the. You were going to stick around and talk about some of these stories, like John Chau's not so excellent adventure to the Sentinelese Island to proselytize.
Yeah.
Oh boy, it's not like
it wasn't even legal, right? It's not even legal.
No.
Yeah, and it's illegal to go anywhere near that island. Everybody knows that. He knew that. He'd visited it before. He basically got a warning from them.
Wow.
And when he came back,
there's the risk of spreading diseases that they haven't been immunized to.
Right.
Which he doesn't care.
Serious. Yeah,
he didn't care about breaking the law, and he was gonna do what with these people who can't speak to? What was he going to show them? He doesn't know their language. Nobody knows their language as far as I know. So how is he even going to communicate?
And he was going to poison their minds on top of it.
If he could successfully communicate with them.
This is I'm gonna call it out here right now. Karma. I'm calling this karma.
He won his Darwin Award. He earned it.
He did. That's right. Good point.
I am hesitant to, speak ill of the dead.
Yeah, you don't want to say he deserved to die.
But yeah.
Well,
but he knew. He was warned. Yeah. He knew it was illegal. They had shot arrows at him before. They don't want him there. There's a reason that island has a history of strangers harming them. So of course now they're like, don't come here. And the Indian government even made it illegal. In fact, it's so illegal to go there, the police can't go there. Yeah, they're trying to stake it out to see, because in the past they would bury the dead that they killed, and then they would put them up on
bamboo poles.
They would hang them up. So they're hoping when they hang this body up, they can retrieve it somehow for the family. So this is going to be the difference between, this is going to show the difference between Americans and Canadians. You guys are way too fucking polite. I say fuck him. Fuck him.
Well, there's been a lot of Canadians that have said pretty much that too. So.
Yeah.
Well, and look at that. This is Chau's asshole attitude about the island. 7 people.
Yes.
He had labeled, Chau reached the island, which he had labeled Satan's last stronghold in his diary.
Oh, Jesus.
So according to his journals, he managed to set foot on the shore, and was chased back by the boat once, and then the second time he died. He said, I don't want to die. Would it be wiser to leave and let someone else continue? How about let nobody continue? This is not Satan's stronghold, you mother effing whatever Mr. D.
Let me tell you something. Here's why I have no problem saying fuck him, because he was going to go there knowing that he had the possibility of carrying diseases which could have wiped them all out. So fuck him in the ass. I'm sorry. He was a dick. That's just an awful human being. He needed to go. He needed to take himself out of the gene pool.
Again, like with the epistemology, if you think that Jesus is going to save and blah, 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 you're not going to be concerned about spreading disease, are you? Because they're just going to pass on and die and go to heaven, right?
That's why he needed to go. Everyone who thinks like that needs to go. I'm sorry. Bye-bye.
And yet the family says that they forgive the tribe. I mean, isn't that just the most, like, what do you say to that? No, they made
their son a martyr. Their son is a martyr. He's been held up to the guy who tried to breach Satan's stronghold.
That sounds like a really bad hotel review, you know, like, this is Satan's last stronghold. I'm not going back to this resort again.
What kills me, though, is the family. None of these religious people who are behind him will ever look at this and say, and think,
no, they won't.
You know, is there anything to learn from the fact that our God didn't protect him in his noble quest? You know,
you would think they would think about that.
Get a clue, people. Get a clue.
Well, he can't do any wrong. You know, he couldn't do
some
wrong.
Some horrific accident happens, and you're the one who's saved, but everybody else who, you know, suffered horrifically through that accident and, died. Jesus saved me. Like
we had
no regard for the people, that were killed. The problem with people, right? Yeah.
I had a dear friend whose niece was working in the towers, and she was on vacation in Paris, and he told me that he thought that God saved her. That was God saving her, and I'm like, do you not realize what you just said? What you said was God fucked everybody else, but He saved your niece. Really? This is who you worship? Give me a break.
Yeah, exactly.
You got lucky, basically, is what it amounts to. God screwed everybody else, but
But she's special.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Christine, you're so sweet, and you're trying to empathize and understand these people. I'm such an American. I'm like, fuck them.
I'm like such a, ask Paula and Randy. I'm like, among the three of us, I'm like the most PC.
Yeah, she is.
You're the one that'll play the devil's advocate, too. You'll play devil's advocate, too, so that's awesome.
She is the source of my exasperation on this podcast.
I quite admire it.
Thank you. That's awesome.
See, that is a compliment. That is a compliment.
I know. It's the highest compliment. Right? That's almost like being called gross and racist by Faisal, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
It's up there.
Yeah, it's just, he's a martyr now to the cause. It just, there's nothing that can happen that can change these people's minds. It doesn't matter how good or how bad something ends up. It's like a bulldozer, just going through everything and not understanding what it is that you shouldn't be there. Like,
the ethos of religion is heads I win, tails you lose. There's no point at which they take something and think, maybe I'm not going down the right path. It's just you just bulldoze ahead, and you're so certain of your rightness that you never consider any other possibility.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's it. And they'll rationalize it any way they have to in order to preserve their belief about things, their worldview.
Right.
Yeah.
There's nothing. The unsinkable rubber duck. That's what James Randi says.
Yeah.
That's exactly that.
Analogy.
Yeah. So I guess you're saying fuck them. Okay.
Yeah, that's my point.
We could have really could have shortened this
segment up really hard real fast. To agree with that.
Yeah. I don't want people to die, but this is a Darwin word for sure, because he has, as far as I know, he has not procreated. So that's one of the requirements. You cannot have children, and you do something stupid that gets your ass killed. And he's a shoe-in. I think he's a shoe-in.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I mean, I wonder how many arrows. I want to know how many arrows.
Didn't they cancel the Darwin Awards because they're offensive?
So what? Yes, they are offensive. So what? Why are people so worried about offense?
Yeah, exactly. That's the whole point.
I love the Darwin Awards. They're awesome. But it's people who complain about these things want to turn the world into vanilla ice cream, and that's it. No other flavor.
Yep.
And I'm sorry, the warts actually. Okay, I'm not. This might not be the right analogy. So the warts don't add flavor to ice cream, but you know what I mean. It's good things and bad things. They're gonna happen. You cannot unless everybody it just smokes weed all day, from the president on down to who knows what. You're not gonna have. That vanilla world is not going to ever happen. But still want it. I don't even want it. Why do people want that? I don't understand. I don't get it.
I think it's a very vocal minority, because I don't meet hardly anyone who really, really wants that world, that politically correct world where you can't.
I don't.
You can't say fuck the guy who went over there to poison these people's minds and possibly kill them all with his diseases. And I think those people gave us Donald Trump. I got to tell you, I think they gave us, because I think there's so much backlash to that thing.
No, I totally agree. I brought that
way
up.
Of thinking.
Yeah, they might not have voted for him directly, but they definitely launched him to power. I mean, I don't think there's any. I mean, it was a perfect storm. It was a.
Yeah.
Negative publicity is good publicity. It's still publicity.
Yeah,
publicity
that's not always true.
No,
but, yeah. But for him, it was.
Often it is.
Yeah, for him it was. Absolutely.
Yeah.
If you want to see an example of this, I want to. I didn't include this on the list, but Mount Holyoke cancels the vagina monologues for not being inclusive enough. Now here's the kicker. This is an all-girls school.
Oh, wow.
What's wrong with this picture?
Oh, wow.
What's wrong with this picture? An exclusive school.
Well, I can see where transgendered people are being excluded from that. This is an exhibit from the 80s,
sure,
right?
But
yeah,
you can't write for everyone. You can't write for everyone.
No, but I think it's fair for an established exhibit like that to receive some criticism, and that's the point of putting that kind of art out there.
See,
right?
This is what I have to put up with every 2 weeks. Every 2 weeks, I got to put up with this conciliatory person that I want to strangle.
No, it's one thing to criticize and quite another to say, "Oh, this is the way it is, and this is the truth," and blah blah blah, kind of thing. It's okay to hold two fucking thoughts in your head and play them off against one another, and
But why does it have to be canceled? If you don't want to go, if you
exactly.
don't go. That's all.
I agree. I agree.
Now nobody can go. Yeah, nobody can go.
Yeah. Yeah. Make your argument and publish it in a paper or whatever, right? Make your own exhibit, and
I'm offended by the Republican Party. Can we get rid of it? Sorry?
Yeah,
you're offended by what?
The Republican Party. Can we cancel that?
Well, you got to admit, a California Republican is not the same as federal.
No, that's true.
General speaking, in California, it's very different.
They're the old Rockefeller Republicans for the most part.
But yeah, I certainly the federal and Eastern Republicans are pretty bad.
By the way, I want to be on the record saying I prefer dialogue.
Me too.
Rather than monologue.
Yeah, and certainly dialogue over violence, right? Violence should be your absolute last.
I was speaking particularly regarding the vagina.
So vagina dialogues.
I see. Okay, I'm sorry.
So that would be
in general terms.
Okay, you'd have several vaginas on stage. Something like that.
I told you this is going downhill right
yeah.
from the start.
I should have got
It's that
beer.
fucking American.
No.
And there was this other piece in the Atlantic on exorcism. Exorcism is on the rise in the United States, specifically Catholic.
I saw that.
Yeah, it's fascinating. I'm absolutely fascinated by Catholic belief. You know, like the whole pantheon of demons and demigods. You know, that are called saints. They're really, you know, but they must exist if there's appeals to their you know, their mercy or whatever it is. And I've read a book by Father Orbath, I think his name is. It's fascinating stuff, but they talk about it. They don't talk about it like a skeptic does. That, you know, the evidence for demons is this and blah blah blah. There's none of that. It's assumed a priori that you accept that these things exist. And and they always say, oh, you should see a psychiatrist first, just to make sure. And I'm like, what kind of psychiatrist would say, oh yeah, you got a demon?
Yeah.
What? It doesn't.
Well, maybe a religious psychiatrist. You know, when I was younger, Mormons are really good at taking care of their own. It's one of the things that you can kind of respect them for. But part of it is also keeping them within the fold. So when I got out of my house, I knew the first thing I needed to do was go see a therapist because my dad had so messed me up. And, of course, you go to a Mormon therapist.
Oh.
And some of these therapists are far more Mormon than they are therapists. And they give advice that has very little to do with the science of psychology or psychiatry or anything. And they start, and I had this happen with my ex-wife, where they told her, you know, she was later diagnosed with borderline personality disorder, but this guy told us, and we were too young and stupid to not know otherwise, that her real problem was that she wasn't fulfilling her godly duty of bearing children. Now,
wow.
A person who is mentally ill, which is borderline personality, qualifies, should not be having children.
Thank you.
To fix their problems. But that's the kind of advice you got from within the fold, you know. So, you know, I assume the same thing goes on within Catholicism, where you have Catholic psychologists or psychiatrists or whatnot, and, you know, I think this person might be possessed. Really? Wow.
Yeah.
Because there was that study in the MIT, you know, Journal of Psychology or whatever, I don't know, about demon possession. It's just insane.
Yeah, it is. Like, how can you live in a modern world and believe in the existence of demons? I mean, that's standard Catholicism. They don't talk about it much, but it's standard Catholicism.
Yeah.
And I mean, is it really nuttier than Xenu, or less nutty than Xenu?
Christine, we can't hear you. Christine, we can't hear you. Is your mic off?
I see that now. I see that now. Sorry. I think, you know, it's only Catholics who can believe in this demon, you know, nonsense, and you know.
Evangelical Christians believe it too, right? There's.
Yeah, I guess so. Yeah. You know, to believe in exorcism I think is uniquely religious, right? Otherwise, people would be first looking for mental disorders and wanting to treat those, you know, persons who are exhibiting symptoms compassionately, right? And not just, oh, demons, you know, that's ridiculous.
And we should be standing up and saying, yeah, that is stone cold fuck nuts, okay? This person is mentally ill. Now we can assess them and treat them.
Yeah.
But, you know, it's all this baggage that is left over from early I hesitate to call them hypotheses, but that's just for lack of a better word, for origins of existence and mental illness, etc. All these old explanations that just because they are under the umbrella of religion are still okay. I mean, they're given a pass because that's religion, right? Well, it's still nuts. It's still nuts.
Yeah.
Now we can't hear Twyla. We've lost Twyla.
Okay.
No.
There we go.
I'm trying to work out my video issues because I can see myself on Skype, but
I can't see you. No.
We've
gotten this far. We've gotten this far.
I can see you.
Yeah.
Weird.
Only somebody can see me.
Oh, there you go. Yeah, there we go. Yeah, now you're good. Yeah, it just amazes me that we allow it. It should be not marginalized in the sense of like the left pushing down bad ideas and putting it in underground where it can fester and grow. It
should just be silly.
Yeah.
It should just be silly.
It should be laughed off, and you can believe that. You're free to believe whatever you want, but don't ask me to respect it. Just because
it should be as dismissed as flat Earth society bullshit.
Yeah, I don't get it. It's stuff that would have been turfed centuries ago. Some of this stuff, and just because it's religious belief, it's still there. It's still lingering, and in a world that it must be incredible, the migraines that the cognitive dissonance gives these people, which is exposed exactly. Education. Once people get into secular education, that they're under risk of losing their faith. I don't call it risk, but so the believing side does. Me, it's like it's an opportunity, baby. But
no.
Yeah. I don't know. Anyway, guys, got anything that you want to ask? Kind of run, just so things are winding down.
Well, if we were getting political, we could talk about that UCP MLA.
Oh yeah. Well, that up here that we've legalized marijuana and
countrywide.
Yeah.
Countrywide.
Yeah.
And
brilliant.
And it's kind of funny because they can't meet the demand.
Yeah, there's a shortage.
There's a shortage in Alberta.
That's funny. That is funny.
And well, some of it was moldy. There was a problem with mold in some of the shipments.
Ah, jeez.
I got to think of investing in marijuana farms.
Yeah, we apparently need better ones if they're going to send us moldy product.
Well, yeah. If you're Canadian and you invest in marijuana farms, you could be denied entry into the United States.
Oh, you're kidding.
No, not kidding.
Isn't that ridiculous? Thanks, Republicans.
Yeah, thanks Trump in particular. Wow. I'm all for, buy American, but boy, he's trying to screw his allies over. Just
at least Sessions is gone. He was the big one against marijuana legalization, I think.
And that's probably why Trump did what he did.
He's the most in need of marijuana.
Yeah. Yeah, really.
Man, he's something else.
We've had it legal here in California probably since, I don't know, maybe
it's been a couple of years.
I don't know if it's been 15 years, but we had it first legally just medically. So medical marijuana.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah,
and then I don't know 2012 I want to say that it became completely legal, maybe later. I can't remember, but it's just there's just no problem with it whatsoever, and it's just such a better world. I just can't begin to tell you.
I've never understood the prohibition against marijuana. If you've got no problems with alcohol. So,
really? Okay. Read what that UCLA MLA said.
UCP, Ultra-Conservative Party. The Ultra-Conservative Party.
Yeah, well, a UCP. Like, how do you pick something that's UCP?
Oh, it's better
like,
than
really,
the
guys?
It's better than the party, the Canadian Reform. What was it again? It was CRAPP. Did anyone actually think for a moment what that spells? Is it Canadian Reform? Oh, I can't remember. Not somebody maybe in the comments can put it in there. They actually, it was hilarious. It was. This is the conservative. You know, what do you expect from conservative movements, ultra conservative movements, and
this is their argument for. Their argument for prohibition is a slippery slope, saying, "Look at China and opium.
Yeah.
You're gonna. They went from
like
to communism. Like you didn't go from democracy to communism. Opium is like 10 times more addictive, and they didn't have laws.
Right.
About the production, distribution, etc., etc.
Do something with packages of chips.
He's actually. This sounds like Doritos, man. You've been holding out on us.
Yeah, I have.
Smoking pot and then having a snack.
Yeah, I had a nice sativa, which opened me up here, and then I got the munchies.
Yeah. Yeah, interesting that Doritos sales hasn't really gone up since legalization last month.
Yeah, Cheetos and Doritos.
Cheetos and Doritos.
So remember when Michael Phelps, the swimmer, right? And he got caught smoking weed, and there was like this protest, so people wouldn't buy Kellogg's products, I believe it was, because they dropped their sponsorship with him, and their sales actually did fall at the same time. Kind of, I guess, some kind of like E. coli or something like that was found in the state. So it's pretty hard to say whether the protest had an impact or whether it was some other factor, but I bet I bet there was some protests going on that shortened their sales temporarily, anyway.
Yeah, well, the religious right. They eat a lot of sugar already. You can tell. So I'm sure they went off for a while, but then needed their sugar fix, so it had to come back.
No, it was the weed smokers that were protesting because
the weed smokers.
Kellogg. Yeah, because they dropped Michael Phelps as
good.
Good.
Yeah.
The Puritanism.
Party.
Well, it's so silly.
Yeah.
It's so silly in Alberta. You cannot have a liquor store. We can't buy your liquor in a grocery store like you can in the U.S. But Safeway has liquor stores, but they have to have their entrance a certain distance away from the entrance of a grocery store. You can make sense of that.
Interesting.
Yeah. No. Have you not noticed that yet? That like Costco, the liquor store is in a separate building because, or not necessarily, but it has to be 100 feet or something like that away from.
Okay. So my parents live by a Safeway, and I guess the liquor store is in the same plaza, like connected building, but only like next door or 2 doors down, maybe. So I never really thought of it like that.
Yeah.
But then I think about like the co-ops. You never see a co-op that's part of actual co-op. Same with like Superstore. They're in the same vicinity, but okay, interesting. I never
but they're in a separate, usually in a separate building.
Yeah.
And it's just these Puritan laws. Can we just? I mean, kids are going to see
even
this.
Tobacco is kept separate from liquor.
Yeah, I don't even know where they keep the tobacco.
And from pharmaceutical, like you can't run a pharmacy and also sell cigarettes.
Well, that was voluntary because seriously, if you're, I don't know if it's voluntary anymore, but at the time they were realizing, how can we promote health and sell cigarettes?
Yeah.
So a lot of that was already on its way out. You have to pretty much go to a gas station now for cigarettes, and that's it. I can't think of any other place. But yeah, there's a lot of government regulation in Canada, but most of it I don't mind. We got a good bang for our buck when it comes to taxes. So
I'd like to have that here. I'd like to have people who are just filthy rich be taxed. That would be nice. These people these people here in America, they make all this money off of, and it's
cheap labor.
Oh my God, it's just ridiculous. This last tax cut here was just insane, absolutely insane.
Federal or
I think it was
state?
83% federal. 83% of the tax cuts went to the top 1% and corporations.
Yeah.
Just
why do they
insane.
need more money? Why? What? I don't.
I don't understand that. Yeah. I don't understand it. I mean, is there? I did a video on my political show talking about how when I grew up, you had phrases like obscene wealth and filthy rich, and you don't
monopoly.
Yeah, you don't have that anymore. Yeah, monopoly, right? Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
God, what's going on here in that realm is amazing. And the thing that kills me most about that is this whole "Make America Great" thing. Is really, I mean, we all know what that's talking about in terms of the culture and going back to a time where America is far more white than it is now. But they talk about it in terms of the economy and everything, and people who voted for Trump don't realize that the economy of the 1950s was the mixed economy that they don't want now. They don't want the high taxes. We had 25 tax brackets here in America, the top one of which was 93%. So it would be the equivalent of if you were making $1.8 million a year today, you would be in the 93% tax bracket. Of course, no one paid that. You ended up paying around 50%. But I always ask somebody, do you think a guy who's making, like a mutual fund guy who's making $500 million a year or something, do you think he can't live on $250 million? Is that a big hit?
Yeah, no kidding.
Yeah, it's crazy.
It's the cost of doing business. So, as far as I'm concerned, tax is the cost of doing business.
Yeah,
right.
Exactly.
And I get annoyed when Americans describe they refer to it as free education, and that's not the case. We're paying the taxes, and we're getting value from those taxes that we're paying, right? And it's not just the immediate person who's getting the education. It's
society.
Helping society, compete in the global context, and and people say,
that right there, Christian, is what Americans don't see. They don't think about how I say this all the time. We are all better off when we are all better off. They don't get that if you have a person who can't get a decent education, who then can't get a decent job, he may go into a life of crime. Or there are just so many negatives to not taking care of your own people that come back to bite you in the ass. It's self-preservation that they don't get. It's like, let's make this a good place for everybody, and all of these little problems that we all bitch about and complain about all the time go away because people don't have to get desperate and go. I mean, the thought that we have people here in America who are going bankrupt because they don't have health care is obscene.
Oh, no.
It's just ridiculous. Using their homes, because they can't, and we're all potentially in that spot. And how do they not see that it's just not right? It's the battle we're fighting here is so basic.
So often I hear the argument that, well, I don't want to pay for somebody else's health care, but the problem is that that's fine when you are healthy, but who's going to pay for your health care when you get ill?
Let me tell you with that, though. But the problem with that is if they don't have health care, you end up paying more because what happens is these people don't go in when the problem is treatable and easily resolved. And that leads to a disastrous thing, and they still don't have health care, but you know what? They get to go into a hospital, and then we all pay for it regardless. It's so short-sighted. You have women who can't get their prenatal vitamins, and so they end up having babies with defects, which they didn't have the money to get the health care for the baby in the first place, so now the baby is taking all of the money with the serious defects that it has, where if we just paid for prenatal vitamins, we'd have saved a fortune. It's so short-sighted. It's unbelievable.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, prevention is worth a pound of cure.
Yes, thank you.
I think that's part of our Canadian system too. Is that like in our public school systems, we teach phys ed. You've got to do so many hours of phys ed. We teach nutrition, and maybe they're not ideal ways to get rid of problems like obesity, because obviously we have that issue here too. But they are part of our, I would say they're part of our universal healthcare system, right?
Right.
To prevent, make sure you get your regular checkups, take care of your teeth, blah, blah, blah kind of thing, right? This is just part of the expectation that's placed on, I think, Canadians, that we all kind of agree on, that we're going to take care of one another, right?
Right.
And it's not free. It's just us cooperating. Same with education.
But
right?
everybody pitches in, and
and we don't have that.
You never know.
That's something. Well, I learned this just a few years ago, because I'm like, how can you not agree with this kind of thing, right? And met some Americans who were like, I guess libertarians, and there's things I love about libertarians, but they're so I guess they have these rose-colored glasses that everybody's wish is going to help the poor, and that's just clearly not the case, right?
Right.
What I do like about libertarians is they're not warmongers. They're not going to, they're not going to, make weed illegal. They're not going to touch abortion issues and that kind of thing, right? So, in that sense, I, can agree with some of the other stuff. This over-the-top optimism that rich people are going to take care of the poor is just, it's a fantasy.
You always say things the nicest ways. It's absolute naivete. It's naivete and stupidity.
Oh yes, glamour.
I like the hands-off kind of stuff of libertarianism too, but libertarianism ignores one simple fact, and that is that all of our lives are overwhelmingly determined by luck. Pure, dumb, stupid luck.
And it can change anytime.
Yeah.
And these people who got all pissed off when Obama said in 2012, you didn't build that. I don't know if you remember that. He said, he was talking about the roads and stuff like that, and he said to businesses, you didn't build that. They got all freaked out about that. Yes, we did build that. Well, what I say all the time is, you didn't even build you. And if you didn't build you, think about it for a minute. And we don't. None of us build us. We are who we are based on pure, dumb, stupid luck. Where we were born,
or bad luck.
We were born, what gender we were born. It's pure luck. So how do we not just help each other? Okay, you're the one who got a good chunk of luck. Why don't you pass some of that luck down to somebody who doesn't have it? You're not going to lose out. It's this mindset of if someone's getting something else, I'm losing out. It's just
well, that and looking at people and thinking they deserve where they are somehow, like that original sin plus, while your parents must have lived a bad life, and that's why you're born with bad eyesight.
Yes,
all that kind of idiocy that contributes to their
not stuff outside the bootstrap mentality.
And they do that because they want to do the opposite. They want to say, I'm where I am because I did all the good, right things. And it's just bullshit. You are where you are because you got lucky, and that person who's in the shit house is where they are because they got unlucky. That's the vast majority of the truth of who we are, because as a cognitive scientist friend of mine points out, she says there is only one bit of luck that we all get in life, and that is, are you born with the wherewithal to handle whatever is going to come your way? And some of us just aren't. We just aren't.
Well, not just the wherewithal, but the resources too. We're just talking about North America here, but if you look elsewhere in the world, if you don't have the resources, you're just simply not going to make it, right? And the libertarians say, I made it on my own. No, you drove those highways every day. I didn't see you out there filling your own fucking holes. Yeah. If your house happened to catch on fire, I don't see you asking for a bid for somebody to put it out, and picking.
Are you the one who built a country with the infrastructure and the freedoms and all of that stuff? Who got you that? It wasn't you. It was.
And a lot of that was slave labor, you know?
Yeah,
look at the railway here in Canada, right? Like, look at,
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
Well, and if you don't have taxes paying for these things, how do you pay for them? You pay for
well, that's just it. That's why I object.
So you're going to pay more. You're going to pay more. You're going to pay more for fire. There's an issue in a state, and I forget which one, and I have to drag it up again. But because their taxes don't support the fire stations and some other things, Oklahoma or something, but basically everybody has to buy fire insurance. And if your fire insurance lapses because you lose your job, you get injured or something else, well, the fire department does not come because you haven't paid, and they won't help you.
Oh, my God. That's
like, do you want to live your life like this? Is that better? No, it's better to collect taxes and distribute it evenly, making sure the fire departments, police departments, schools all get funded. Now, if you want to privatize everything and pay straight out of your pocket until you can't pay anymore because you had an accident and the fire department won't come, the ambulance won't come, you can't go to school.
Who wants to live in that world? That's insane.
Not me.
It's insane. Yeah, it's just crazy. And the thing is, I pay for my insurance. I pay nearly $500 a month for insurance.
Ouch.
And then and then I'm paying taxes on top of it, and the people who don't have insurance, who can't get it for whatever, Obamacare helped, but they're going into the hospital because they can't not go in. And then, like I said, we have to spend far more money on fixing them than preventing what was ailing them in the first place. So we end up paying on it that way, and then we don't make people pay taxes, especially the rich. So what do we have? We have $20 trillion worth of national debt. I mean, we were paying our way. And that's the other thing that people don't understand about the taxes and what they used to go for in the 50s. America did tremendous amounts of health and medical research that will simply not be done. It was done by the government, and it was simply stuff that corporations weren't going to do because you can't monetize it. It's hard to monetize basic research.
You're not going to profit.
You're not going to profit. So we had America, and Canada, by the way, did a lot of it, and they still do, far more than America does. But we all had people all over the world, these countries, doing all of this basic research that really just shot us. I mean, if you look at one of the best ways to judge a country's health in almost every way is to look at height, the height of people. And you saw this thing going up and up and up and up. We were getting taller and taller and taller all over, and then we stopped investing in medicine and medical research. And sure enough, we've been going down for the last, I think, 30, 40 years here in America. We've been getting shorter and shorter and shorter because our health is shit and our nutrition is shit, and we just ignore all of the stuff that would just make all of our lives better. Why are we hurting ourselves all the time? Because we don't want to pay a little more in taxes? Really?
And why has this become, like, this is Alberta in a nutshell as well. Taxes are bad. How did this happen?
Yeah. Government is bad, too. How did that happen? The government is us. In a democracy, we are the government. So we hate ourselves, I guess. It's just amazing.
I see a lot of parallels.
I don't think.
Oh, sorry. I was just going to say, I see a lot of parallels with the prosperity gospel. You do the right things, and you will get rich.
Yep, very much. That's a big part of it. That really is a big part of it. That's the underlying framework that all of this happened under, starting in the 80s. And
Ronald Reagan.
Yeah.
Fucking Ronnie.
And he's looking pretty damn good right now.
Yeah, even George W.
Yeah, W looks great. Buchanan looks amazing. I'd take Buchanan over
he
Trump.
hates us up here.
That's sad.
Buchanan hates Canada. Oh. There's a passion. I don't understand that. I don't know what we did to him, but he's on record as being very anti-Canadian. Anyway.
Well, didn't Trump say that Canadians apparently go down there and we buy shoes and just got masks?
Yeah, send me shoes, send me shoes. Oh, what a dipshit.
And we won't buy all his dairy. Our industry is regulated. There isn't. We're not taking their overflow, so we're bad.
Yeah.
Well, frankly, whatever's said about Mexicans is said about us. You know, we're a border country too. So, you know, whatever's said about Mexicans, as far as I'm concerned, is an attack on me personally.
But you're not as bad because you're not as brown. You're nowhere near brown.
No, but a bunch of my family, like most of my family,
we're pasty white, actually.
What's that?
We're pasty white up here. We don't.
I'm not happy.
There's no sun up here.
You two are, but you know, I'm a little more.
Well, I'm pink.
I'm 57, I suppose, right? Look at my mom. She's been, you know, mistaken for all kinds of different races and stuff like that, right?
Don't cross the border. TSA would, the gloves are out. Snap.
When I go to Mexico, people start speaking Spanish to me, assuming that I can, right?
Yeah.
I don't think I'm not. I think I'm a tad ambiguous. Like, yeah, of course I look white, but
what's the term for androgyny? But it's more ethnically. I don't know.
Androgyny?
I don't know if there's a word for it. Trying to figure out what your culture is without being rude.
Okay, so here's something that blew me away. Andre Raw had posted something about loving generation on Facebook, right? And I went into the conversation thinking she was talking about the 60s and, you know, love and blah, blah, blah kind of thing, right? And so there was that court case where it was finally permissible for people to marry outside of their race. And I knew about that, but here in Canada, that was never a thing. And then I realized, like, when people call themselves biracial, I'm like, how can you call yourself biracial? It makes no sense to me, right? And then I realized, oh my goodness, like, some of us are the product literally of two, I suppose what one might call pure races, whatever that even means, right? So I'm like, oh, you know, I never put it in that kind of context. So I just, you know.
I'm biracial curious.
It just the term never made sense to me because, like, I can name all kinds of,
good one.
You know.
Yeah, the funny thing, especially in America, so many of us are mutts, as Bill Murray put it in Stripes. You know, we're so mixed in. I'm the result of grandparents who came here directly from two motherlands, as it were. You know, and then they got together with, you know, and my parents then became, I guess they were both pure, so I'm a mutt. But, you know, if you go look at my DNA, which I've done, I'm from all over the freaking place. Yeah, I'm mostly from Ireland and England and Germany, but I've got stuff all over the place. I've got Eastern European stuff. I've got a certain percentage Ashkenazi Jew. We're just all a bunch of mutts.
Yeah,
now,
that sounds the same to me.
You're the American success story right there.
Yeah, right.
The melting pot, right? Like, there you go.
Yeah.
The melting mutt.
So this term biracial was like, what the fuck does that even mean?
Yeah.
And not to mention the fact that borders were thing, and, you know, like what could be one country one day with, you know, after some kind of political strife could be another country. So how do you even, you know, like, borders are fluid. And
so my grandparents came from Ireland and Germany. Technically, that makes me biracial, but unless you have a little brown in there somewhere, I guess you're technically not fully biracial. It's a weird thing that we only talk about that in terms of, you know, when you start mixing skin colors. Yeah, pigment or morphology. You know, it's I guess you know, a Chinese and a German would be biracial too, because there's a morphological thing there. But it's such a strange that whole thing. All of that talk just needs to go away.
Yes.
You know, we're people. We're whatever we're made up of.
Until racism goes away, you can't stop talking about it.
Really can't. Yeah, you really can't. And it's you know, you guys, I can't imagine. I mean, that's the one thing that you guys really probably aren't getting a real sense of, except via, you know, the media here, is it's kind of terrifying.
Yeah.
Seeing what I'm seeing here in this
Well,
country.
we have the Proud Boys here. We have UCP members who are white supremacists. We have UCP members.
I think
they're just really polite about it.
Have they been bolstered by the whole Trump?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. They showed up at my daughter's school.
Oh,
they showed up at my daughter's school trying to scare the Syrian students there. Now, there were students that came out of my daughter's school and said, cut this out.
Is this a middle school or how old is your daughter?
It's high school. Oh, my
God.
Yeah, they're very emboldened. Like, there's people driving around with that stupid flag on their vehicles and meeting at City Hall, holding the flag up. So,
and
what's the flag? What is it?
Rebel flag.
Rebel flag.
The
rebel flag.
The battle flag of the Virginias.
The Confederate battle flag.
You come to Red Deer, you see this. You see this every day. They paint a Pride sidewalks for the Pride Day parade. People come along and put skid marks on it. They'll sit there, and so there's a lot of racism and homophobia in Alberta. A lot. You won't see it so much in Calgary, or I think you will in Edmonton a little more. But you come to Red Deer, you come to any place that's not Calgary, and you're going to see it.
Yeah,
I've posted pictures.
But that's normal with rural versus urban. You see that kind of thing everywhere. Yeah. The other thing about the Trump effect coming north is Ontario's election was a few months ago, or was it? How long has it been?
Yeah.
It's been a few months. Doug Ford. You remember Rob Ford? I mean, a lot of people, a lot of comedians in the States made fun of him. This is his brother. So, and he's I'm just.
Is he equally an ass?
He's equally an ass. He's a conservative. That party is now unraveling. That party is now unraveling human rights.
These people aren't conservatives. They're not conservatives. Okay, being conservative is not a bad thing.
But that's what their party is called.
I know, but I'm talking small C conservatives. It's whatever these asshats are. That's to me. That's not conservative.
Unraveling human rights.
Yeah, these are not
and
conservatives.
Workers' rights.
Joe Clark was a conservative. Okay, Joe Clark, believed in access to abortion. He was very. He was somebody I would describe as a feminist. And that's a conservative that I can admire. Doug Ford, he's just I can't even think about. There's no words to describe him. Yeah. Well, that's the thing.
He ran on a platform saying he was going to do this, and this. Yeah. Set back human rights. He won.
But he's not a conservative. I don't call him a conservative. He's not. We got to stop calling these people. Mitch O'Connell. Mitch O'Onnell is not a conservative.
People just vote because he's popular.
He's more Republican.
Like Mitch O'Connell. I don't think he's a conservative. He's.
But he got elected.
He's something else.
Clowns
he got elected on a platform.
These are wingnuts. That's all you can describe them as, is wingnuts.
So why do people keep voting for them?
Because there's a lot of wingnuts.
Yeah, that's the terrifying thing. That's the terrifying thing, because we're really starting to realize down here. We with Obama, I think a lot of us really thought, okay, we're starting to move past the bullshit.
It's over the hump,
and we can move forward now. And now it's so depressing. It's just so disheartening to see that 45% of your neighbors are just. I don't have a word for them that's nice. I just don't. You realize. Deplorable. Thank you.
Yeah. I think some. Okay, so I watch the debates between him and Hillary, all three of those debates, and shit. I'm just like, every once in a while throughout those debates, I'm like, fuck, he nailed it, man. He might actually
Hillary
win.
was so busy trying not to lose the election that she lost the election.
She was trying to go high.
Well, I'm sure
no, she was just trying not to lose points.
But Trump was just nailing it with one-liners and, like this simplistic Hillary kind of, well, it doesn't matter if it's true or not, it's whether it's effective. That's all.
Simplistic.
Right?
And it appealed to this.
Rhetorically persuasive, that's all it takes, right? Truth doesn't matter.
Nobody looks at platforms anymore. Platforms are irrelevant now.
Yeah, it's all marketing. Chris, you understand rhetoric. Mr. Deity understands marketing.
Yeah, nobody cares about what the platform
There's no prerequisite for truth. It just has to be appealing.
Just has to have the soundbite. The soundbite. That really good soundbite.
And for some people, like, I could see where Trump was like, hey, you've lost your... He did make some campaign promises that, of course, were, coming out both sides of his mouth, but I could see where people might find, if you've lost your job, if you live in a, state where it's very depressed and that kind of thing, he was saying the right stuff to persuade.
Even though their policies are proven and have proven to, cost people jobs, to cause the market to crash, which it's not crashing, but you're starting to see the Republican effect is after 2 years of Republicans doing their tax cuts and everything else, you start seeing the market drop every single time.
Well, here's the thing, and what they did was, it's so silly, they didn't need to do it either because the economy is going well, but anyone can make the economy grow and look good by spending $1.5 trillion, which is what they did. They gave a big, giant tax cut, and we went another $1.5 trillion in debt, and of course the economy is going to look good, but I don't think it's going to look good come 2020 because
it's starting to not look good now.
Yeah.
You're just starting to see that effect every 2 years. You give it 2 years every time Republican.
Yeah, absolutely.
What they do does not work. They say it works. I'm the only one who can fix this. Like those one-liners, they're all lies.
Don't say how he's going to fix it.
Rhetoric, I think Trump was right to claim that outsourcing jobs through international trade agreements was a thing, and Americans did lose their jobs to lower, paid wage earners, right? That's the truth, and he leveraged that to forward his
but the solution is not cutting these revenue. The solution is not destroying that. The thing is, you kept products affordable, and then you can create other jobs actually in the country. Like if you... What he did was
the sense, and that's simply not acceptable.
We are solving world problems here, folks.
Don't so conservative. You can solve the world's problems. Come on.
Yeah.
Well, a lot of the jobs just disappeared. They haven't gone anywhere.
And they're going to keep
increases inefficiencies.
Well, automation,
absolutely.
Of course, there's there's
automation.
We are going to have to move
by automation.
Yeah, we are going to have to move at some point, I suspect, within my lifetime to a guaranteed minimum income.
I don't see any way around it now.
I was just going to bring that
up. Robots are going to take over.
Yeah.
I mean, people have been saying it for a long time, but the problem is that now it's real because everything's going to be automated. There's going to be nothing left for people to do.
Yeah. Except those who control the automation, I suppose, right?
Engineer. If you're an engineer, you're
go to school, be an engineer.
And the creative parts,
people still need to collect waste and do all those. There's another thing, like
nobody does that. That's why we get immigration.
Infrastructure.
Yes, right.
You can't do that if you cut taxes.
I'm sorry. Randy was just saying, what were you saying?
I was just saying that's why we have immigration, for the jobs that we don't want to do. And I'm only being partly funny because that's actually true.
Oh no, you're absolutely right.
People that can't afford education.
Well, and you know what? The trades are valuable, and there is a huge need for infrastructure to be. Look at the bridges and like what does America get as a grade for their infrastructure and bridges and safety and that kind of thing? I can't remember. It's not high. So there's some.
This is why we have government.
Yes, I think we have them in the realm of over 70% of our bridges and roads need serious work. I mean, it's amazing that we're not all dying on on bridges.
The government, if the government threw money into that, then they would be putting it back out into the economy. People would have the higher spending power. Wages would go up.
If you cut taxes.
That's right. You got to pay for it.
Yeah, of course.
Anybody who runs on that platform gets nuked. That's the thing. It's it's a total. You have to change the attitude. You have to change the culture before any of those real changes can happen.
Everyone wants everything for free. Nobody wants to pay for anything anymore.
This, I think, one of the most ridiculous things I've whatever term I've heard is like taxes theft. Come on, that's fucking ridiculous.
I've seen that too. It's just outrageous.
Yeah, that's like the hardcore libertarians. Like,
it's myopic.
Police.
Yeah.
Well, if you don't like the price of civilization, move to where they don't collect taxes.
Build your own fucking potholes, make your own highway. Build your own road in front of your house.
Create your own fire department, police department.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Army, Navy, Air Force.
Put a bed in your basement in case there's a fucking hospital emergency, right? You put that equipment out there. Ridiculous.
You go discover the cure for cancer.
Yeah, exactly. On your own.
By digging up gold, not by going to school, because you're not going to have a school. So how are you going to learn? You're going to have to bribe somebody to teach you.
Right.
Yeah, or if you're going to have a private school, it's going to be like, what is that, Trinity fucking college? Like, come on.
The law school.
They're going to teach their own world philosophy. You're going to learn a lot.
Yeah. What would be there's an equivalent in America that's equivalent to Trinity, but more hardcore.
Lehigh. That would be one.
Lehigh? Okay.
Lehigh University.
I'm trying to think of like William Lane Craig, where he flouts his bullshit. Mostly.
Well, you've got Liberty University.
Liberty,
that's another one. Yeah, Liberty. Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Lehigh's another one.
That's where Trump went and talked about 2 Corinthians.
These 2 Corinthians went into a bar.
Exactly. God, the ignorance is stunning. It's just stunning. Yeah. The religious right just buy it. They just suck it up.
I don't understand, because there's nothing to suck up. They just say, "Oh, he's religious." No, he's not. Yeah. The guy's got the only God he worships is himself. That's it.
Yeah.
Like, you can only take forgiveness so far. Like I think about I don't know, a guy who got basically caught through the glory hole in a public washroom. Okay.
I don't know, right? Yeah.
But that's okay. God will forgive us.
Fine, yeah.
Oh, you can be cured in a weekend,
Like, wow.
Yeah.
Just like Ted Haggard, he was cured in a weekend, wasn't he?
Yeah, you just got to cast out those demons.
Yeah.
There you go.
Exorcism, it's on the rise.
I just swung us back around. How about that, huh?
That was good. Oh, man.
I was thinking...
Wait, you bucking for my job or something? Or what?
Confession.
I would refer to that as a reach around, but it's called a callback in comedy.
All right. I learned something today.
I prefer reach around.
Reach around. But that sounds kind of... I don't know.
Creepy and disturbing.
Yeah.
Reach around for what?
Well, that's me. You've
fun,
right there.
Too,
well, that is Hollywood. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Well, I think we should kind of close this down. We go for over 2 hours. That's good. Yeah.
Yeah, no kidding.
And it was
awesome. Thank
you
so much.
having you on, Brian. We've gone all over the map.
Well, thank you. I've had a great time, and I get to look at all these attractive Canadians. It's just amazing.
Before we sign off, is there anything else you'd like to promote or update us on your most current projects or anything like that?
Just go check out Mr. Deity on YouTube, and and click the links down below if you want to help support the cause. There are links down below for the Patreon and PayPal and all that kind of stuff. That's always helpful.
Awesome.
Fighting the good fight.
Yes, yes, you are. Yeah.
Awesome.
Thank you.
All right.
I have some cool movie ideas that I would really like to do if I can get in, and they're not even movies that require a lot of money. I would love to tell you about one of them, but in Hollywood you cannot open your mouth. Someone will steal your idea. But I have one that's so good that really gets us. It allows you to attack all of the underlying ideas about God and religion without ever coming at it directly, but it would plant so many seeds. And it's
a sign off and talk about it if you want to.
I was thinking the same thing.
Yeah.
Well, we can sign off now, and we can certainly stay on and we can talk about it. I'll just sign off.
That'd be fine.
There we go.